last week on Gleeboot, we got Don't Stop Believing Taylor's version, Finn's last episode, which was a weird college storyline, and Marley's terrible trash songs. And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
Gleeboot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally didn't miss anything.
Also, you did call it Taylor's version.
Oh, I got Rachel's version.
But you know what? It makes it. I got what you were going for. It's as if it's got Taylor Swift energy. Like she's redoing it. She's reclaiming it. Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah.
We also got them laughing at the kids traumatized after a school shooting.
Yes.
Trauma comedy.
I mean, there's some more trauma comedy in this episode, so it's perfect. Again, we have said it once before, we'll say it again. Trauma's hilarious.
They don't even try and make it funny this episode. It's just like trauma, and then we switch to a different scene, and it's comedy.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm just glad that there's no more original songs happening this episode.
That's accurate. I agree.
Outcast.
You have more friends than you know. I don't even know how
that song has like no rhythm, like no vibes.
It's bad.
Yeah. So welcome back to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee one episode at a time. I'm Cullen.
Alyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
And today we have a very special guest, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Cassie Hock.
Hello.
Shopping list.
Oh my God, Alexa.
Alexa just wanted to steal my spotlight.
Wow.
It's all
Alexa's
good.
jealous. She's like, I'm one of Cullen's best friends.
Quit saying her name.
That's really funny.
That was great.
Well, welcome.
That's actually not the first time my name has triggered Alexa.
Oh, my name does it all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
wow.
Cassandra.
It's the aw at the end, I guess.
Yeah. Alexa's really grabbing, really trying to get.
Alexa, Cassandra. Oh, it might be the syllables.
Yeah.
Looks like Jeff's got to work on that AI. Because he personally attends to it.
So, Cassie, what is your journey with the show Glee?
Okay, so I have never before today seen Glee. I have never heard a soundtrack or recording. I didn't know what it was about. I had to Google what a Glee club is.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it was embarrassing, but
no.
It was a fun time watching it. My boyfriend watched the episode with me.
Solidarity.
He was able to answer a lot more questions than I was. Question mark.
I'm sorry, Are you dating a Gleek?
He was like, I don't think I've ever seen this. I was like, why do they have their cheerleading uniforms on? He's like, oh, they wear them all the time.
Oh yeah, he's lying. He's a big fan of Glee.
Yeah, apparently. So I learned a lot. I spent some time on Wikipedia. I took the BuzzFeed quizzes, and so I did a very Cassie thing to do. I took the what character am I and what boyfriend I would be before I watched the episode, and then again after.
Oh,
did it change?
It kind of did. So originally they were the same person.
Were you both a Finn?
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
So I was Finn and my boyfriend was Finn.
Okay.
And they both had the same, like, you're a leader, you're attracted to leaders. I don't know, whatever. And then the second time around, I was once again Finn, a kind person and a leader, which like is a compliment, but maybe not accurate. And then my boyfriend was Blaine.
Oh, okay.
Second time around,
Very
I
nice.
knew who people were.
I feel like all in all, those are like every person you mentioned. You only mentioned 2, but in all contexts, both of these are not bad characters to get on the quiz.
Yeah.
Could be way worse.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can have
Yeah.
Artie as your Glee boyfriend.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
bad vibes from Artie.
You know what? I think I need to retake the quiz too.
Yeah, Artie was not giving good vibes this episode or ever, especially this episode.
I was seriously surprised by Sam. This golden retriever was snarling.
I have so many things to say about that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Let's talk about alcohol.
Yeah, what are we drinking today?
I've got Fat Tire. I haven't had it in a while. I was walking through the Winn-Dixie and I was like, you know what? That sounds good.
I haven't had Fat Tire in a while either. I'm drinking Guinness.
Nice. You're drinking bread.
It is like the meal of beers. So
Yeah. The meat and potatoes and bread of it all.
Yeah. I'm drinking witch's brew wine.
Ooh.
I have never heard of
So
this.
spooky.
From Leelanau Cellars in northern Michigan.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to, I guess, go up to northern Michigan.
It is a spiced wine.
Oh, I've never
I
had
drank it
spiced wine.
also on Halloween.
Oh my gosh, this it just keeps getting better.
This
It's
is
great.
the best drink.
It's very spooky. They're like, you will not be able to see it because I poured a big glass, but there's like flecks of the spices in it.
Ooh,
Oh, it's good.
I love this. I
Yeah.
gotta try me some
It's good. Witch's brew.
witch's
Yeah.
brew.
It's fitting for a Sunday evening. Yeah, it's good. I love it. So that's what I'm drinking.
I'm drinking a Praga Premium Pills Authentic Czech. It's from Hannah's gift box that she got us, and it fell to the back of the fridge, so we didn't know
A
we had it for
while
a while.
ago, I did not give them another one.
It's the same package. It was just hiding.
Did you like the second set of the beers that you got?
Yeah.
Did you like this one?
Yeah.
Because I know some of them the first time were kind of hit or miss.
I don't know what we had a second set.
Yeah, there were 2 pack deliveries.
Yeah, it came in 2. I don't know why.
I remember this happening.
I know you just, I feel really special that you remembered the gift. But I have video proof that you drank it and enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it, which I have no control over. So.
I'm sure that we talked about it on the podcast. So
Yeah, I have video evidence. I have audio evidence. It's perfect.
Yeah. So I think some scenes were cut from this episode because if you look up this episode, 2 images come up. One of Darren Chris Blaine in his like Nightwing-esque costume, Nightbird, look like skulking around, and one of Sam and Blaine interrogating Becky. And I was like, did I black out and miss something in this episode?
I mean, I did fast forward a little bit through the songs, but
so I looked up and I was reading the synopsis and I was like, okay, no,
So they literally just chose pictures that don't exist in the episode.
Yeah, I read a thing about how this episode has a lot of things that were used in the promotion for this episode were not in it. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Thank goodness I didn't watch any promotion because I would have been so much more confused.
that is so strange. So they had a whole thing where they are interrogating Becky, and I'm assuming that's what led to what we talk about later, her going to Figgins.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. That's weird. Okay, I mean, whatever, Glee. They were like, you know what? We have a very blown under the rug storyline that involves sexual assault of children, so we really don't have the space to put this extra thing in.
promoting for an episode before you have it edited. I feel like that's putting the cart before the horse there a little bit.
Quite a bit, yeah.
So the storylines we have are there's a blackout at school.
Which we'll get into the logic of that.
Yeah, there's Sue and Becky and Blaine and Coach Ross Washington. And
the sultry and mysterious Ross Washington.
And Ryder. And then we have Santana in New York.
So 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to do any of these.
Yeah. I was watching it, I was like, this episode just sucks. Like, not even in a, this is so bad, it'll be fun to talk about, but in a, why is this happening to me?
Quintessential filler episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like a rocky time with the show and the fact that Finn is leaving the show for the rest of the season, like 2 episodes ago or an episode ago.
Last episode, right? Yeah.
Was his last episode.
Yeah. But I read that he filmed scenes for this episode.
Oh.
But they were all cut.
So what was the reason that he left? Because he hasn't passed away yet at this point, right? Like he just left the show for a while. Was he going to rehab?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember he went to rehab. Interesting. So he filmed scenes for it. And then they're like, oh God, we can't use his scenes. It doesn't make any sense. Let's get Nightwing in here. And then they're like, no, we can't use that either. This episode's hot mess.
Yeah. So the blackout. So Will comes in and he's like, who's your daddies have a secret weapon. They have Frida Romero.
This girl he was spying on at the school. I'm assuming he went to Indiana to spy on her. What?
Watching her sing the national anthem.
To no one. She's just practicing.
She can fill a stadium. Her voice will fill a stadium.
Which is
That's
funny
why they did the
because
national anthem. Oh my God.
that would have made so much more sense if he went to like a sports game where she sang the national anthem.
Yeah.
This episode rewrites itself.
Yeah. So he's all like, the secret weapon, like we have to have powerful songs that'll fill stadiums, whatever that means. And then because I'm like, I went to a Katy Perry concert, Swish Swish filled the stadium, and I wouldn't think of that as a stadium song.
I just kept thinking of like Stadium Country, like Kenny Chesney. Like that's what I kept thinking of for some reason. But also the songs the theme is dreams. So like the songs still have to be about dreams in some way, shape, or form. We'll see if they carry that along through to the rest of the season.
What's the through line?
As someone who knows their regional set list, this will be interesting.
I love it. Can't wait.
So yeah, so he's like, so as he's saying it, the power goes out. And he's like, no, we're going to do Unplugged Week because Figgins announces that it's okay. Candles will be distributed by GPA.
There is no way that school will continue to be in session if the power
is
out.
Yeah.
I Googled that. I literally Googled that. And there are probably some places that might do that if the rest of the systems are fine. But I can't imagine that would actually happen. Like they would send kids home. Like,
yeah,
it's just, when that happened, I was like, absolutely not. And then they're like, candles are going to be distributed. I was like, what? In a school?
No, that's a fire hazard.
That's a huge fire hazard.
Absolutely not.
And then like, also, if you think this is March or April, you still need the heat in Northwestern Ohio. It's still fucking cold out. It's just, It made no sense. I was like, these people the writers have not been to school in decades.
Well, and the actors and actresses too.
Yeah, like they couldn't be like, well, no, who unique, what's their name? Anyway, but the actor who plays Unique, Alex Newell, is probably the youngest in the cast at this point, probably one of them.
Yeah.
Really?
They could have been like, hey, I was at school like 3 years ago. This would have never happened. Can we like do something else? It seems way too close to the school shooter episode, in which a special event, quote unquote, I hate calling it that, but that's sort of what the episode is setting up. It's some sort of special event that happens that gives them some sort of story arc or story setting. It just feels really weird that like these two things happen within like a couple weeks of each other. But anyway, this would never happen. Also, very telling sort of nod to the quote unquote merit system that we have in this country, that, you know, you get what you have based on how well you do in the world. So how well you do in
your
schools.
Awarded resources.
Yeah, basic necessities in your setting.
Yeah.
You're sorted into Clan Dauntless or Clan Avignation.
I don't even remember any of the others. I would love to do a podcast about those movies though.
A nice 3-episode podcast.
No, honestly, this could go on for months.
What is this?
Divergent?
Yeah. I was gonna say, is this Divergent? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow.
Wow.
We watched Divergent.
Tris?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, we watched Divergent and Secret Life of the American Teenager at the same time and just talk about Shailene Woodley's range.
She does have range.
She does, really honestly, yeah.
And because she was in like Big Little Lies and she did really well in that. Like she really does. She's pretty talented.
Stewart, also, what we're just discussing range. She's great range. Princess Di, Twilight.
I actually really want to see the Princess Di movie just to see what she's like, because I just recently rewatched Twilight with my boyfriend and I couldn't be like, that's the same person. How is that possible?
I want to watch the one where she was in the one where she's like underwater in that underwater facility. It just recently came out like last year, I think.
I think I know what I vaguely understand what you're talking about, but
it's
I
like
don't.
A horror movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like Alien but underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Mermalian.
Yes.
It looked interesting, but I never got a chance to watch it. But I wanted to watch it because she was in it, and
it's called Underwater.
Is it actually?
There you go.
A little on the nose there, but okay.
But you know what? It works. Anyway, we're on a podcast about Glee.
Yes.
Another episode where I just don't want to talk about it.
So thing is he's like, the generator will be reserved for my lower back vibrator and
the coffee pot. And I'm like, no, you should send the kids home so they can go home to their heated houses.
I can just imagine in the writer's room. So he's explaining all of this over the PA. And I was like, how is the PA working? And I can imagine in the writer's room, someone was like, how is the PA working right now? If the electricity is supposed to be out, and then someone's like, I'll just put it in the speech that they're using a generator. It's a great way to like have a joke also.
That is exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
It was tea.
It makes no sense. It's so dumb. But anyway, this happens. And then she was like, oh yeah, this is like Unplugged week. We're going to do all acoustic. And I'm like, really? This is going to be a whole episode about how people are too glued to their phones and not in the moment?
And it's not even...
And it's not.
They don't even like touch on that at all. Like maybe one line.
And I was just like, and then what happened was worse. I was like, and this doesn't make sense. The other part made more sense.
I wanted a Flappy Bird musical number. If we're gonna talk about phones.
Was Flappy Bird still a thing then, or like had it been eradicated?
It had to have been still a thing.
I don't know.
Remember when
'cause
I feel
Nintendo
like Flappy
jumped on
Bird
that.
was 2012, which was the year before this came out, and then they stopped
Yeah,
releasing it in the App
Nintendo
Store.
jumped on this and was like, "Hey, you're using our assets." And then they took it off the store, and then people were selling iPhones and iPods, like iPod Touches. Remember when
Yes.
those were a thing?
I
They were
Still have
selling
one.
those for like hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars that had Flappy Bird installed on it, because you could still play it. You couldn't buy the game if you hadn't already gotten it.
Tina would be into Flappy Bird.
Everyone
That's in the
would have
Glee
been.
boot. But I think Tina has Flappy Bird energy.
Tina has Flappy Bird energy. I want that on a sticker. Tina Cohen Chang, Flappy Bird energy.
So yeah, they're gonna do Unplugged week. So then they're doing performances, and Sam and his guitar, and he talks about how he was conceived to you've got that love and feeling.
Oh,
or you've
but
lost that love and feeling.
Shu introduces him and says basically like, this guy, and he says, and quote, knows how to strip it down. And then I
Because
was like,
Sam was a former stripper
and I was like,
as a child.
yes, as a child, 17, maybe 18, but I think he was only 17.
I think it was like 16.
Got it.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
a sophomore, right?
He would have been a junior that year because that was their senior year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, yeah. So that was a thing. And I was like, really, Shu? And then Sam started talking about it. He's like, yeah, I was a stripper once. I was like, that doesn't really excuse Shu's introduction. It's
Nope.
so uncomfy.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
Artie was texting the whole time.
Yeah.
And that was the only element of like, we should be off our phones.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was so weird. I was like, oh, that's what this is going to be about, texting on the phone. No, I
Artie really
I thought
needs
for a
to-
moment that he was the catfish.
Yeah. Which they're conveniently bringing up again this episode after a whole week of Ryder being in the choir room and not being curious at all.
Yeah. I really wish they told them to get off their phones during the school shooting when Artie was filming their
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
confessionals.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Artie is like a bad cheese. He gets worse with age. Like,
He's a bad cheese.
yeah, so Sam is like, we're always on our phones. I had to, how many times because Artie is like, I can't do it without my synth. He like is upset, and Sam's like, I had to just entertain my brother and sister because my dad can pay the electric bill with my guitar. Like I just had to do what I can. And he's like, we're just too dependent on technology and stuff.
Like everything is leaning toward this is Glee's take on how people are obsessed with their phones and technology. But then it's not that.
Boy, were we wrong.
Yeah. Listen, this whole episode gave me whiplash with the tone changes and shit.
Uh-huh. It
That's
definitely
a good way to phrase it.
problems with the tonal messaging here. I don't understand. Like, have we ever seen Artie ever use a synth before?
I don't think he can play any instruments. I don't think I've ever seen him play an instrument.
No, he played guitar in Don't Stop Believing in the pilot.
That's the pilot. That's a different
How do you
show.
remember that? first of
I
all?
don't remember that.
Because Rachel just did Don't Stop Believing with Artie on the guitar last episode.
What?
Oh,
Because
really?
Artie was in Pet Band, and that's how they got the instruments to do Don't Stop Believing.
Oh my god, I don't even remember seeing
That's
Artie in
that's like
last
a
week's
plot line?
sequence.
That
Yeah.
happens?
I know, Alyssa, I'm with you. I am like, what? How do you keep all of this information? Anyway, yeah. He goes to piano. I'm thinking he doesn't know how to play piano.
Yeah, we've never seen Artie play piano.
And then he's like, I can't do it because synth. And I was like, oh, sure, that's the reason why.
And then he later runs over a smart water bottle And it makes
Product placement.
It makes an almost musical sound, according to him. So he's telling Sam that for regionals, they need to go all, he doesn't say all stomp, but basically all stomp.
They need to go garbage.
And we're like, you're already there, honey. So they do Queens, We Will Rock You with Garbage.
And
Brooms.
Thank you. I was like, I had to do it up here. Yeah, brooms and stomping and
Yeah, it was very much
But
but also I really quickly want to give the context that like right before this was Ryder and Kitty's dinner, right? I think it was something very like emotional and like intimate, and then boom, we're right into Queen, and I was like, oh my god, what?
Yeah,
Craziness.
the back and forth.
Yeah.
If this hadn't been like, if this wasn't a follow-up to something so insanely different, it would have hit better, I think.
Yeah. It just kind of happened. Right. Jake did some ballet moves. Shout out to another storyline.
Oh boy.
Didn't even see that.
Yeah, so they do that, and then Will later on is like, we need to get strip it down even more. We need to do just our voices. And I forget this song. What was this song called?
For the longest time?
By Billy Joel, yeah.
Yeah.
They had such a problem.
Is that really the whole of this storyline?
The power goes on at some point, and
Oh, that, yeah, wow, this storyline is lame.
it's very thin. It's just a thin excuse for a few musical numbers.
I don't understand also, like, they're saying like they need to unplug, but it has only to do with what? The instruments? That's what I got from this.
I bet the band was so relieved. They're like, oh, thank God. We don't have to do this anymore.
How many instruments do you need to plug in? Approximately like
5,
none.
maybe.
None of them. Except
you need
unless you want
electric
something with electric,
guitars.
Yeah.
And then the keyboard. So maybe like 2 or 3, depending if you have the electric bass. Yeah, it's a very small amount.
Then
It doesn't
no
make any
sense.
sense.
Mm-mm.
Let's unplug.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about Sue.
Oh wait, well, really quick, how did the power come back on? It doesn't make sense either, because this is not how electricity works.
There was a balloon from congratulations on your successful hysterectomy.
behind a filing cabinet?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like in the outlet, which if something gets stuck in the outlet, it goes boom, and then everything goes out. And then you gotta fix it. You wouldn't just be like, oh, that's what happened, then flip the power back on. No.
Well,
And then when they
works.
talk about the hysterectomy, Sam and Artie make like a weird face at each other. Like,
It's a weird thing.
They're like, what's a hyster?
No, they're like, ooh, like hysterectomy.
Uteruses.
what the hell?
Yeah, like I can't tell if they're like making fun of her or whatever. It's
or
just
they're like
weird.
lady parts, or they're both like, what is that? Because I would believe that they would be like, what is that? I don't know.
This is this pairing I like to call Smarty, Sam and
dumb.
Artie, and I hate it. And there's a reason that they're not paired together, because Artie brings out apparently a bad part of Sam.
The worst part.
Well,
the worst part of Sam.
I don't know, because Sam was the one who started the other thing.
Yeah.
He's the one who spoke first. But but Artie, I think, does make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was like, why are they together? Why are they hanging out? And then like, yeah, I remember seeing Artie, but I don't remember half the episode. It's the more we go into the series, the faster it's leaving my brain.
We're gonna be in the middle of the episode and Hannah's gonna be like, I don't know what we're talking about.
Season 2, episode 5, right?
She's gonna go to, remember in Smash when they did a Bruno Mars musical? Yeah. So
and that was supposed to be like their preparation for regionals storyline, essentially.
Yeah.
0 out of 10 stars.
Stitch burps on you. 0 out of 10. Yeah.
Also, where was Brittany?
Brittany read the script and was like, actually, I'm pregnant this week. I need to go on maternity leave. Bye.
Yeah, I was like, where is she? And then also Sugar and Dread's still not back. Which means they're low on people for regionals. How are they going to compete? I love logic.
So why? Glee
Yeah.
has none.
So
It's dumpster fire.
So Sue is now a personal trainer. She
I feel
works
like we
in
need to dedicate an hour to that workout scene.
Can we
Oh
though?
my god.
Okay though,
Oh
let's
my
do
God.
that.
So much hips.
Okay. So Sue is like, she's in her home presumably, or maybe the office at the gym.
in the office at the gym. She makes a smoothie, drinks a few sips, and throws it
She
away.
Throws the whole thing in the
In a
garbage.
blender bottle, like has like
Yeah.
the blender in the bottom.
Mhm.
But she's like writing in her diary and she's like, here's the sitch. And we're like, okay, great. And then we are transported into the most fantastic fitness regimen I've ever seen. There-
Better than any musical number in the whole episode.
Absolutely. I would watch a whole episode of this.
Iconic.
I would not.
That is fair.
That says something about the episode that I was like, I'd rather watch 45 minutes of this. I want to see their whole workout routine. Blaine is there in tiny little shorts. Also, not wearing hair gel, and his hair is not enormously poofy like he said it was a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
So,
Blaine looked great. He was flirting with the guy next to him.
Yeah, I thought that's where the it was gonna go. Like he's like, oh, he's gonna start dating someone. No, that goes nowhere. And we see a lot of ladies shaking their hips. They're in like, it looks like a 90s aerobics class.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like you said that in the wrong order. We see a lot of hips and then realize you zoom out and then you see that they belong to ladies.
Yes, that's true. There was a couple really uncomfortable shots where it was literally just butts and it's just like ladies' butts shaking, and I was like,
And then you saw
Okay.
some hips and you're like, is that a man's hip or a woman's hip? I
Right?
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just like
That was Ryan Murphy's
uncomfortable
goal.
close-ups in this workout scene.
I feel like this scene inspired him to do, I don't remember what season of American Horror Story it was, but I started watching it. It's the one with Matthew Morrison in a huge dick.
Oh, the camp one.
Yeah, the camp one. Because like the first episode has like an aerobic sequence like this. So I bet like that's like, we just talked about Feud. We talked about that series of American Horror Story. He's getting a lot of inspiration in the sandbox of Glee.
Yeah. He was like, I can do whatever I want in this show.
And elsewhere, apparently.
So then Blaine is there and she's like, the only reason I let you in is because I thought you were a butch Israeli girl.
Such an awkward line.
I don't even see it. Like sometimes Sue will say things, I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. I don't see it. I don't get it.
I don't know. I could see it.
I don't know.
Maybe it's the outfit.
But then Blaine is like, I specifically got back into the Cheerios so I could take you down from the inside. And I was like, Okay, but what was your plan? Like, nothing happened with that.
And she's like, oh, noted. And then he's like, but the school needs you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, the
No.
cheerleaders are lost without you. And then it shows Coach Charles Washington being like, and that's why you're going to get 2 of your ribs removed for flexibility.
Yeah, and there's basically this portrait of basically like a Dolly Parton lookalike with like big tits. And it's like, Roz was going to make them get implants and get
I
their
didn't
ribs out.
understand it. I did not understand it all.
Because Sue comes back, like when we go back to Sue after the flashback, she's like, she basically was saying like, yeah, I wanted a bunch of the Cheerios to get their boobs done, essentially, something to that effect.
Which is weird because remember when Santana got a boob job and
right?
she was so against it?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't track.
Yeah, she's like, Becky would look like, she said something about Becky looking like Dolly Parton.
Yes.
After
Yeah.
she gets 2 ribs removed.
Yeah. And Blaine is like, still like, yeah, the school needs you. And she's like, you know, I'm done. I'm happy. And then she's watching the cheerleaders practice with Coach Roz Washington.
She's just lurking in the stadium.
Good Lord, if they actually fired her for
bringing a gun.
Gun on
she would
high
not be
school
allowed.
campus,
Yeah.
she'd
Also,
be banned.
also,
From
how would
every school?
Also, how would she get a job at a gym? Like, I feel like if she had just potentially caused a life-threatening incident or the potentially life-threatening incident, I feel like she wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere. Oh, I don't know.
I guess it depends on the job and their standards.
That's true. She was working at 23-hour fitness. I saw that on her jacket.
Yeah.
I feel like she was going for very like Joe Goldberg and You with the sunglasses. Like no one can recognize me. I'm hidden under these sunglasses. Like we all know who you are. Like it's so obvious. You don't blend in at all.
Yeah, like she's just like a really tall woman too. She would not be allowed anywhere near that school.
And Becky comes up to her in a matching outfit.
I love that. It was so random. It's like they're weirdly in sync from afar.
And she's like, you're out of uniform. And Becky's like, I don't know, I'm thinking of quitting the team. Coach Roz Washington is really mean to me. And it shows her yelling at her like, adult baby Robin, why are you making smoothies that taste like, what was it? Garbage,
Essentially.
Yeah.
She's like, I like my smoothies to taste like human food.
And
yeah,
it's like, verbal abuse.
Yeah, she's berating Becky. Like,
I feel like it's supposed to be funnier because she calls her adult baby Robin. But it's
that
kind of
feels
not
worse.
Yeah, it's like,
because that's making fun of Becky and Sue's daughter.
Yeah, it's pretty horrifying, actually.
So Sue is like, I don't want to go back to taking care of these 2-timing slutty bitches, trash words for women as a collection.
Yeah.
And then she sings the song, which I've been looking at some of our ballot results. Someone nominated twice for best song of season 4.
Wait, 2 people nominated?
No, one person they have to list 3 songs, and one person listed this one twice.
Oh, okay.
Little Girls.
This is from Annie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know exactly what musical it is, and I was like, let me think. Probably Annie.
Yeah.
And then whoever plays Sue, just for some reason I can't remember her name in this exact moment.
Jane Lynch.
Jane Lynch debuted on Broadway later that year in that role in Annie.
Oh my God, that's fun.
Oh yeah, I did know that. Yeah. So someone saw this episode and was like, we need more of this.
Yeah. Or I feel like it was probably public knowledge that she was going to be on Annie.
Yeah.
And so they pulled that into the episode.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That sounds about right, honestly.
Bit of a shortcut there. It didn't really make sense for me in the episode.
No.
It was weird.
Yes.
She just goes around pushing people and throwing open bathroom stalls and
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable.
Because I watched this episode with my boyfriend. He was like, they're all just okay with her walking around and assaulting these children.
Okay, maybe
And I was
he's
like,
not a gleek.
This
He
has
would know
to
that.
be in her head. This has to be something
Yeah.
she's imagining.
Well, honestly, she's pushed teachers and also students in the halls,
Yeah.
thrown desks. So, like, honestly, it was a 50-50. I was like, this could be in her head, or this could actually be happening.
It is revealed that it was in her head because she ends
Yes.
up back on the bleachers.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
nothing happened.
and she's like, you couldn't pay me to go back, but we're supposed to kind of get the vibe that she does miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like she's singing that song and being so like, I hate these bitches kind of thing, is like she's deflecting, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, just like quickly to kind of start talking about Becky, because we'll get into it a little bit later, but like she seems fine. She seems sad, but she's not like freaked out like she was during the school shooter episode, in which, I don't know if you knew this, Cassie, but Becky was the one who brought the gun to school.
Figured it out.
So she was basically like freaking out and brought the gun to school. And then I was like, great, Sue's leaving. There goes her only advocate. But like, she seems fine. So it's like the show is just sweeping that under the rug too.
I think there was a scene, and Cullen kind of alluded it to the beginning of us chatting, and I read about it somewhere because obviously all my knowledge comes from the articles I read today. That there were more scenes with Becky and information about her going to the principal at the end of this episode. There was more,
Yeah.
and they cut it. So,
Well, goes to show their priorities, I guess.
right.
Yeah. So Becky is brought. Coach Rose Washington brings Becky to the principal's office because she's mouthy and she called her Coach Chocolate Pie. Yikes.
Well, I mean, she's been hanging out with Sue a lot, so
Yeah.
not excusing it. It's just could be the reason.
The whole thing is sticky and icky.
Yes.
And she's like, I only said that so I'd get sent to the office. And he's like, why don't you just come to the office? And she's like, I didn't think of that.
I loved that. I absolutely love that. I was like, honestly, that sounds like a teenager thing. Like, they're like, how do I get to the principal's? I gotta do something bad. You could have just come here. I didn't know that was an option.
And she's like, there's something I need to tell you about what happened. And it's dun dun dun. So Becky's gonna come clean about bringing a gun to school, I'm guessing. Yeah.
That's implied. We
Yeah.
never see it happen in this episode. So we'll see if it happens next episode or if it happens off camera. You know, Glee's favorite thing to do.
Oh, it'll be off camera. Becky's gonna be fine. Sue's gonna come back. Everything's gonna be fine. I don't know that for sure. But also this is the conversation in which he refers Figgins refers inappropriately to Roz as sultry and mysterious. So
He has said some of his other lines include teen lesbians, sexy teen trollop.
yeah, he's a winner of a principal.
Alyssa called it way back in season 1.
He's
Back when
never
he was-
gotten better.
Back when he was more involved and like wreaking more havoc than usual, or than should be allowed. But yeah, he's still awful.
I just got a moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, we've got the season 4 and we're almost
Oh
done
my
with it.
god. Wait. I have a line here. I almost forgot. So when Sue was talking to Becky up in the bleachers, she said that she gave these girls 95 years. And I was like, what?
I loved that. I love that line.
I was like, is that like a Sirius Black type thing where she's like trying to say all the years she's been in prison, but it hasn't been 95 years? What? Oh my god. Or maybe it has.
I think Sue's like 256.
Sue
about
is a
right.
Highlander.
Yes.
I just assumed I didn't understand that line and moved on. I was like, that's over my head. I will not understand
You're like,
it.
something's happening here.
Yeah. So that's the end of another kind of. There are definitely a lot of storylines that were cut short because this feels.
Yeah, they definitely had to cut because you said one of those scenes
Where did that
had to do
storyline
with
start?
With her at the gym.
Oh, at the gym.
Yeah.
And it ended with Becky in the principal's office.
yeah. And you said like one of the scenes was Sam and Blaine like interrogating Becky. Like I bet you that's probably the scene where we would have gotten information about like their plan of God, how many weeks ago to take her down. It was just the episode in which Sue ruined
Something?
Blaine's
I don't
family's credit history. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Ugh.
But
I was
even
on-
worse, according to Blaine, was she told everyone he was the bottom.
Right? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, another very I guess like none of the storylines are really meaty though, like in terms of content or interesting things to say.
Yeah.
I think the word you're going for is good.
Yeah.
None of the storylines are good.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I literally don't even have my MVPs, LVPs, none of that figured out.
Oh no, those are cool.
Like, that's me every week.
I normally have some sort of idea. I have nothing.
I know, and it's going to be a surprise to the listeners. So Ryder. Ryder is telling Jake, well, he's like watching Kitty text, and he's like, who are you texting? And she's like, I'm playing 4 Picks 1 Word.
She should have
Like-
said Flappy Bird. God damn it. You're right.
Yeah. Why? Okay, do I need a restraining order, stalker? And I'm like, fair. And he's like being paranoid, and then he tells Jake, like, I told her things that like secrets that I've told nobody else.
He's talking about the catfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jake's like, why don't you start entrusting real people with those secrets?
Yeah, like the people who are actually close to you already.
And so Ryder decides to reveal something in Glee Club. He sings REM's Everybody Hurts with full orchestration, which and there's a random shot of Jake and Marley being slushied, and we reference slushies again, which it's been like a season.
Right? Okay, that bothered me so much. I was like, okay, he got permission to sing a fully orchestrated song, not totally unplugged, because he wanted to unplug his feelings. Hated that phrase so much.
You know what that makes me think of? Like it's not like unloading your feelings though.
No,
Unplugging your feelings means
you're like
you turn
distance.
them off.
Yeah, you distance yourself. That's what I agree. I thought the same thing. Shu has no idea how electricity or plugging things in works. But then like there are these clips of Charlie getting slushied, and it feels like he's singing about like the group's hardships, and I'm like, you guys had it really easy this season. Like you guys haven't gotten any slushies, nothing. Like I don't know.
No, like this is the first time that
Yeah,
we've seen
sorry.
What
any of them.
is the slushy thing? Why
Okay.
are there slushies?
So
What?
since season 1, the jocks have been slushing the Glee kids because they're bullies, and that's just been the thing.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like
so
the bully thing. Like,
Okay.
Yes. And this is new for like Marley and Jake and stuff because this is their first year. But
Marley and
like,
Unique got slushied in season 4, episode 1. And that was the last time we saw someone got slushied.
yes. So like it kind of felt like, oh, we're supposed to feel bad for the club because they're all, still having a hard time. But like, they were fine because they were riding on a national championship from the year before.
They had all these hot boys and sold a half nude calendar of them.
Yeah, I don't know, like, at what point they ended up being not popular anymore, because they were, like, the cool kids for a while.
Blaine and Sam, because they had an episode where they said, oh, they're not popular, and then Blaine and Sam proceeded to become student body presidents.
Yeah. It makes no sense. And then it also makes less sense knowing the real reason why he wanted to, quote unquote, unplug his feelings and sing this song was he was feeling something very, very personal about himself. Yeah. And so like the show, like, I don't want to say like stole his thunder, but like it was very incongruent. It made no sense. Like being slushied in the face, gonna say it, not the same as being sexually assaulted.
Totally.
There were definitely flashbacks to the Everybody Hurts episode of the Glee project.
Oh, cringe. Ow.
I did not want to remember that. So then Ryder is like, here's something I haven't even told my parents. But I wanted to tell in case it gets leaked.
He's like, I want to get in front of this. So I'm like, okay, whatever it is, like that's a good point, I guess.
Because he thinks that the girl that is catfishing him might leak it.
Right.
Yeah.
That was kind of, yeah, I felt really bad about that because it's like, yeah, if he doesn't know who this person is, he doesn't really know if he can trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he was 11 or 12, was in the shower and his babysitter came into the shower and sexually assaulted him. She's touched him. And Will is like, I'm obligated to report this. And he's like, oh, she was already caught doing it. She's another kid locked up. And then Sam is like, oh, like a teenage girl?
Yeah, he's like, wait, did you say she? And I was like, okay, that line was delivered so poorly. I'm so sorry, but no. And then Sam and Artie just bounce back and forth about...
This is every teenage boy's dream.
Yeah, like how lucky he is.
So many movies. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's a point to make. Like, yeah, a lot of movies glorify this situation and make it out to be something that it's totally not. But like, that's not a reason to be like excited for your friend who had that happen to them.
And is like obviously distraught about it.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
And then they were
Tina is like, shut up.
Yeah, like, you guys are assholes. Yeah.
And Marley stands up for him too.
But Shu says, like, this isn't something, it's when he says, like, he has to report, he says, this isn't something to high five about. I have to report this. And then Sam and Artie continuously go back and forth being like, well, man, you just got like mad game, or like, you should be, I don't know, like honored or whatever.
And but those two boys should have been publicly sent to the principal's office.
Yeah. Shu did nothing. Oh my God.
It was infuriating.
Like, oh yeah, you have to report it, but also, you know what else you have to do? You have to let those two boys know that they're in the wrong. They need to go to the principal's office. They need to get in trouble. And also to reinforce not only to the kids in the Glee Club, but also to the audience that this is a serious situation. It's not something to celebrate, and it's not Ryder's fault. It's not anyone's fault that happens to. Like, it's not a celebration. Like, it's very serious. And so Glee, in its Glee way, just like, it doesn't reinforce that notion that like, no, this is not something to joke about or celebrate.
Well, I feel like they were trying to say it was serious, and that like Sam and Artie are definitely painted by the episode in the wrong. It's just the problem is Shu doesn't stand up for just how wrong they are. He just blows it off. Whereas when Kurt wanted to do Britney Week, Kurt got sent to the principal's office. When we'll see what happens when Marley doesn't want to wear a revealing outfit. So Mr. Shu will draw certain lines when people defy him, but he won't draw certain lines to protect his students.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've seen him when people defy him, how he acts. But no, I mean, I think the show in general, by not, because I don't know if I got from the show that they're actually like painting Artie and Sam in the wrong, like, because that scene ends on Ryder being like, yeah, no, you guys are right. Like, obviously he's deflecting.
Yeah.
But like Artie's like, yeah, he's just got really good game. And
He
like that's
walks
how
around
that
the room
ends.
high-fiving.
Yeah, like that's how it
was-
ends. It's very
Yeah.
murky.
It was really strange. It was really weird.
Mhm.
And like something that feels like it should be really obvious there were no consequences for. It almost feels like the person who wrote the scene or something wanted there to be consequences and then was told that there shouldn't be. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Because
Or
I
know
feel
what the
like
consequences should be.
yeah, like it's going in that direction, but almost like they didn't want to put a stamp on it. They didn't want to be like, yeah, this is obviously automatically very wrong.
Glee has a lot of trouble punishing straight white males.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
Glee-
hard too because
Glee and Society.
yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, the people who were like telling Sam and Artie that they were in the wrong first, like I'm pretty sure first of all it was all of the female students.
Yeah, with
And
Tina
the female students on Glee historically don't have a very strong voice. They don't have the power or ability on this show to actually make someone have like feel consequences. So it just falls flat. Like
unless it's Jake wanting to sing Chris Brown, unless it's a person of color.
And then Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Which I realized I wasn't on that episode, so I couldn't talk about how fucking crazy that was. But anyway. Yeah, so I think like for me, this storyline, and this has come up multiple times on Glee, this storyline needed to be in a different episode. Like it needed the space to actually have the right conversation and reinforce the notions that need to be reinforced. Because otherwise it just feels super wedged in for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I mentioned this a bit when we were talking with Glee of the Week. So Kristen Chenoweth's character, when she was on, was sleeping with like Mike and Puck, and like it was implied that she was sexually active with these teenage boys, and that was treated as a joke, and they were all like happy about it.
well, that's like why half the reason I'm thinking maybe they wanted, like the person who wrote this scene wanted it to have consequences, but then was told, no, we can't do that because we already did this in previous episodes and we would have to be like, admit that we actually made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing to do, but also like, I don't know. I just feel like either you do it and you do it right, something like this, or you don't do it at all, because it's just like really
Well,
bad
I would,
messaging.
yeah, I'd prefer that they not,
And like, what is the purpose?
mess it up.
Like, obviously, like, not that someone's assault has to have a purpose, but like as a storytelling device, because that's what it is. As a storytelling device, like, what is its purpose for Ryder and the Glee Club and the show? Like,
I think the show was trying to say something that should be said more often, is that men can be sexual assault survivors as well.
And women can be assailants.
Yeah.
yes, but that's not like, but it doesn't go anywhere. Like,
They
we
said
have-
it, but it doesn't really affect.
Ryder's
anything.
character is just a vanilla boy with a couple traumatic backstory boxes checked.
yeah,
He's catfished, he has dyslexia, and he was sexually assaulted. It
It's
doesn't really
just-
inform his character in any way.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, it's kind of a bad storytelling device, because like it's just being treated as a storytelling device, not as something that actually is going to inform his character. So it's just like,
which you could actually have something interesting about. Sam was an underage stripper,
right?
and he said he lost his virginity as a stripper.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there could have been something interesting with Ryder coming out about this and Sam being like, oh no, that's fine. Like that can't happen to men. And Ryder
then him like
realizing that he
yeah
has gone through something like that.
That would have been way better because it informs their characters. It has the setup for decent messaging. Yeah.
And it would show how men often use what Artie and Sam were talking about as a way to hide and deflect real vulnerabilities.
And it calls into question pieces of media, which Glee would fall into this category, that sort of glorify like the older woman and younger man type of like underage thing that happened in like season 1. So like I guess in a different version of Glee, that would be the best situation, because otherwise it's just wedged in as a storytelling device. Because the thing that it does,
it's
it brings
hypocritical of them.
Yeah, and it brings Kitty into a relationship with Ryder, like a stronger relationship. So that's one way it serves a purpose, but it's like that's not good enough.
Right, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Not to mention by the end of this storyline, that's null and void.
Yeah.
It did serve to make Kitty a much more human character.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But
again, that's her assault, not necessarily his.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of lumping assault together.
Yeah.
When they're two very different experiences because of gender and sex, like biological sex, that the way society treats both of those things is very different. So like, I don't know, like I definitely feel like Kitty could have been involved in what you guys are saying with like Sam. That could have been brought up too. But yeah, just basically the way this was done was very poorly.
Because this kind of thing happens to children a lot, just statistically from personal experience. Because I remember watching, when I saw Perks of Being a Wallflower in college, someone was like, I feel like they do that in movies all the time because there's sexual assault storyline in that, but that doesn't happen in real life. And we're all like, oh, that does. This was already like the friend in the friend group were like nobody liked.
And that was the thing, you were like, okay, yeah, we should get rid of them.
Yeah, so it was like, I feel like it's super common and Glee has the obligation to, if they're going to talk about it, which it's valid to talk about on a teen show, to do it well, because you have Riverdale where it's kind of glossed to the side. You have Pretty Little Liars where I'm pretty sure the character marries her teacher.
Yes, she does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
There's a lot of, I just think like in a different episode, they probably wouldn't have been able to do this. And frankly, like, obviously I don't want any more screen time with Puck, but like if they really wanted to do the storyline about like men who are sexually assaulted by women, they could have had Puck involved.
Because Puck slept with all those cougars.
And they would have addressed the show's wrongdoing.
Yeah, in this
as
case,
well.
he should be involved. I think they should bring his character back, at least for some discussion.
They've got a bunch of dumb ways to bring Puck back to the school. Yeah. I'm sure they could have figured out one where they got together and they also happened to be talking about this, and it just, I feel like that could happen pretty naturally for the show because Puck's back in Lima now. And then also with Kitty dating him. Yeah, maybe that's the reason why they end up actually breaking up, because they're like, oh, wait, this is statutory rape. So it's gonna be a big trigger warning at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah. So Kitty invites Ryder to dinner at Breadsticks, and Ryder's like, I'm surprised. I thought you were dating Jake's brother. And she's like, he dumped me to go off to a college he doesn't attend.
Which I feel like is so, it hits a very small population, but oh, that line hits the people it hits.
I bet you it does. Also, really quick, when Ryder got his spaghetti, I don't know if it was cheese or just like a plain noodle, but it was like strung across like this as if it was a smiley face. Because I saw the thing like this, and then the meatballs was like, that's a smiley face for sure. You got the kids spaghetti.
It's about to be like a Sesame Street Muppet of like talking.
Kitty
spaghetti.
comes in and she's like, this is my adult son. He gets the kids menu $5.99 spaghetti.
So she's like, yeah, Punk is super hot, and then you get up close and he's kind of puffy. And
I was like, that's right.
Yeah. And she talks later about how she's like, I come across as all sultry and sexual, but when I get up close with men, I become kind of like standoffish. And what was the line she said?
She drops subtle hints that her vagina has teeth. I loved that line so much. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
But also, like, what is a subtle hint that your vagina has teeth? I need to know.
I don't know. But why is this such a fear? Because this is like, is that not like a fear that is in culture?
I feel like
mythologically, like
it.
it's just a thing.
I have heard about, I don't know what it's from, but like I've heard jokes of like guys being afraid of women's sexuality, and it's like, oh, it's because there's teeth down there.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
It's because vaginas, they're just so complicated, and it's just, they're so scary.
Oh,
They must have teeth, which also I think it could be possible to grow teeth down there if you've got like a teratoma or something, or just like any sort of growth thing that happens and you get teeth where that's not in your mouth. Fun fact.
Wait, that's a thing that happens? People grow teeth
God.
places?
Alyssa, you have to look up teratoma. You have to look up, I don't even know how to spell it, but a teratoma is essentially like a little tumor or something that grows in your body, and it can have hair, teeth, like stuff.
It's in your ovaries, usually, in a woman's ovaries.
Fun fact, in ovaries.
Whoa.
I know also people have also just had it just like in their abdomen somewhere. It's crazy. That's like a thing that happens.
I had one.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Here I was talking about like no one had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, they couldn't confirm that she had teeth, but they were like, it's really dense. Usually the real dense ones have teeth in there. It's like, oh my God.
I don't like that use of the word dense.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want teeth inside me that aren't my teeth. And my body consumed it.
That's badass.
And I didn't have to have surgery.
Crazy.
That's so weird. I love
That's amazing.
Weird medical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, Cassie was the perfect guest for this episode.
The guest we didn't know we needed, but we deserved.
So Kitty confesses to Ryder, kind of talks about to Ryder, that she had a similar experience as him. When she was in 6th grade, she was at her friend Julie's sleepover, and Julie's older brother came to her sleeping bag and started touching her. And so she didn't tell anyone for a while because she thought her parents would be upset. But then she did tell her parents, and when they called Julie's mom, all she heard was he was a good kid, and she didn't know how anything like this could happen. And so Julie told all of Kitty's friends not to talk to her, and that she was spreading rumors about her brother. And so Kitty switched schools.
That is a more believable reason that someone would switch a school other than what happened to Lucy Quinn Fabray.
Oh, where she got a nose job and lost weight and switched schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lucy Cabusi storyline was like weird and fat shamey and made no sense. And this was like raw and real and humanized Kitty.
Yeah.
Majorly.
And I think it makes a lot of sense for her character that like she's built up such a big wall. Like, yeah, she says some pretty nasty stuff and does nasty things, but like she had some shit happen to her and she's built up a really nasty wall because of that. Like, makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, she's never had a real friend before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she had Julie as a friend, this other person, she ruined her life.
Yeah, like no wonder it doesn't have friends or like to have people in her life like that. Like,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
And this is one of the first times Glee has really. So like Santana and Brittany, they're like, oh my gosh, that their joke was initially that they're so slutty, and then they made them like queer, and that was their way of humanizing them. But this was the first time because Kitty has kind of had she's the slutty girl to Marley's innocent girl, and that kind of thing. And this was the first time they've really humanized that and been like, oh, I act seductive, but actually I'm kind of scared around men, and that was like impactful and real.
Absolutely. 100%.
And I feel like to Hannah's point from earlier when we were chatting, the next scene in the show is the Queen song.
Yeah.
And so it's really deep, impactful, powerful moment. And then garbage cans and brooms.
Thank you. That's when I was like, oh my God, I have whiplash. Like, what was that?
What if Ryder had confessed to the Glee Club, Kitty and him had dinner, and then Kitty was like, I want to do a duet of Everybody Hurts with You to show you that I'm with you.
Yeah.
That could have been a really great moment.
Yeah. I agree. I really think that going back to the storytelling device, people like writers using assault as a storytelling device makes sense for Kitty, like we've already talked about. But like, I'm not trying to minimize Ryder's experience, but it kind of comes out of nowhere as a storytelling device. And it kind of makes me feel like they just wedged it in there to wedge it in there because they didn't end up doing anything really impactful with it. But for Kitty, like we kind of said earlier, Ryder's assault kind of jumps off for Kitty to give her that humanizing moment. Not necessarily taking away thunder, but like it lines up more and makes sense and lands better, I think, which is really unfortunate. So that's just like another note about how they've done this.
I would agree in that Kitty's makes more sense. I will say, because Ryder says he has trouble opening up to girls or something. And it does kind of make sense where going into the next scene where Kitty is like, let's go have lunch together. And he's like, no, I'm going to stay here and talk to Katie, where he's choosing a safe woman who's behind a computer screen who can't get to him as opposed to a real person.
That's true. I don't know. I think they've still got, well, obviously it's done. They can't do anything about it now, but
yeah,
if they were workshopping this, I'd have some notes. But yeah, and kind of also to that point, so like, this is kind of something that made me think that Kitty was Katie because their names are kind of similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's chatting with, well, I guess it's not even Katie because there's no voice. It's just him talking and then texting, which I thought is a better way to do it than how they were doing it.
I had such a problem though because it took me forever to figure out that the little ding was her response, because I was like, wait, is he having a one-sided conversation?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Honestly,
responding?
They very easily could have shown us that and it would have been way better. Like, so just seeing like ding, oh, message, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But so he's messaging and then he's like, he says something like, when are we gonna meet or whatever or something, I don't know. And then I think the person is like, hold on or something. And then Kitty comes over. And I was like, oh.
We don't see any responses, do we?
Well, he kind of says like, yeah, I can wait or something like that. Or
Right. Yeah. He
Yeah, okay.
responds to all the messages in a way that you can understand the previous message.
Well,
most of
again,
them.
they should have just shown it. Like, there's no reason not to show it. It just makes no sense. But yeah, so that happens, and then Kitty comes by immediately. Right. So I was like, oh, maybe it's Kitty.
Oh, I'm 100% convinced that it's Kitty because I have no future context and I haven't Googled that one yet.
Yeah, no.
Just heartbreak.
Yeah, I think, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna stay here, because she was like, hey, you want to go buy me Subway? And then she's like, I'm kidding, I'll go buy it for you.
Yeah, she's on the Subway diet. That got weird.
Yeah, well, it gets weirder when we find out what Jared was up to. But anyway, also that their bread is basically desserts in Ireland, so not much of a diet there, Kitty.
Because
where is it going? Oh, and then she's like upset.
He's like, maybe after this is all worked out with Katie, we can go out. And then Kitty was like, no, I don't think so. Because she's like, it takes a while for me to open up to someone. I was really starting to like you. And he's like, yeah, but I'm just dealing with this. And she's like, I don't think so. And I was like, good for you. Don't be somebody's sloppy seconds. Don't be like, oh, I'll wait for you. Just be like, no, you're choosing a computer girl over me.
Yeah. But then Kitty walks away and Katie sends, hi, babe. And I'm like, Katie, they're the same person.
Right? That's what I was thinking. Same wavelength.
I don't know. I didn't like how they created a possibility for a friendship and then automatically like shut it down. Sure. And I was thinking friendship. I was in no way thinking they would become romantically involved. And then Kitty was like, let's take me out on a date to Subway. Wait. Well, what?
I think it was implying that she wanted that. Sort of like, oh, this friendship could be something more, but she was just saying, let's go get lunch together.
Yeah.
And he was shutting it down by being like, no, I'm choosing this over you. And so she was like, oh, you're going to choose a computer over me. And then he's the one that says we could go out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was weird. I also think that he had, that was already a block of time that he had set aside for somebody else. And let's be honest, all of us right now are using Zoom meetings and stuff. Like choosing a computer over someone else, especially when you have an appointment or a meeting time, or like you've set aside a block of time for someone. Right. I don't know. I thought it was like kind of petty for her to say, no, I don't want to do this, or like, I don't want to be your friend because you're not going to go with me right now. But like, can't she not reschedule?
A catfish though. It's not just a friend. It's someone he knows is catfishing him.
Yes. I don't know. I kind of feel like we don't know what time of day it is. And we don't necessarily know if he always has an appointment with her at this time, or the catfish at this time, or if he's just like obsessively texting this person, because that also could be it. I don't know. All I know is that I was actually sad for Kitty. I felt something for Kitty other than complete disdain.
Yeah, like I was not happy in the way this ended at all. This was not a good moment for either of them. Like I wish both of them had made different choices, or at least phrased things differently. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. This storyline gets like a 2 stars out of 10. It happened.
That it did.
So, because then when they're saying the last number, we get a lot of meaningful shots of Kitty at Ryder.
Yeah, at this one point where like I think like they pass each other and Kitty kind of is just like doesn't want to touch him.
Yeah.
It's anyway.
I think I did not read into that. Yeah, I was not paying attention to any of that. Like half the time I'm really focused on the subtext of the camera angles, and the other half of the time I'm like, they're doing something, but I just don't have the energy to try and decode this.
I think that was the only thing I saw because I think I fast forwarded through that number.
I
fast-forwarded
noticed
through 2 numbers. I don't
that
remember which.
Unique was made to dance with the men while the girls were in a separate group.
Well, duh, Cullen. I wish we had more of Unique's story, honestly.
Unique is way more interesting than Ryder. And
Yeah, like also like what's going on with her family, like now that she's like identifying as a woman. Like before they were fine with it, but they didn't want her to do that at school. It's like, what's going on with that?
what's
Let's
going
have
on
a
with her
check-in.
taking birth control pills?
Let's have a kiki about that, honestly. Also, Thanksgiving is coming up and I cannot wait to play that song for everyone in my family.
Raphael was just watching like Instagram videos and they were playing the Glee cover of Jingle Bell Rock, and I was like, that's the Glee version. He's like, that's why it's not good.
Yes, Ralph, that's exactly why it's not good.
Yeah, so so that's really the end of Ryder's storyline.
Also, I have one thing about the last number.
Yeah.
Melissa Benoist had Marley. She had one of the longest. She had like the and she was like shimmying. I don't know if anyone caught that. It was terrible and beautiful at the same time. I literally wrote, I was like, what the fuck is Melissa Benoist doing?
So let's talk about people judging Santana.
So hard.
Here
Oh
we
my
go.
gosh, we haven't even talked about that storyline. I forgot.
So, okay, couple things. Maybe some context for Cassie, because so Kurt's interning with Sarah Jessica Parker, right?
Yes.
This is the first time we have seen him in his internship in probably like 10 episodes or more.
Yeah.
I thought he had dropped it, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely thought he quit.
So that's why. So like they have like a little chat and we'll talk about that, but just a little context for you. That was some reason why I was just like, what is happening? Why is Kurt here?
So in the first 3 seasons, are the 3 of them in Glee Club in school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And for some reason, the show is like, you know,
we can't let go.
Yeah, you know, it'd be a great idea splitting time between 2 locations.
Oh, there's like so many TV shows I can think of that tried that, and it's like, just let them go.
Let it go.
You're
let
good.
It
go. Just like Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy is one of those. But it's like, just let them go. Just they're gone. It's okay.
You can
move on.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
little context for you. But I think that's
Thank
where
you.
this story starts, right? He walks into SJP's office.
No, first Santana comes in.
Oh God, yes.
With a chair, and she's like, I thought we could fix this up.
Well, she gets introduced before that, because I saw her before the chair, I think.
Well, she was
maybe
in
the
the That's What
recap.
You Missed on Glee.
Yeah, the recap.
Oh,
like,
okay.
she's living there without a bed.
Yeah.
She works at the Coyote Ugly Bar.
Yeah. And then they're like, Santana, you're lost. You don't know what you're doing with your life. And Santana's like, what? And she's like, it's bad enough you let sleazy Taurus grope you at that Coyote Ugly Bar. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the snootiness of these people.
Well, a few weeks ago, Kurt was calling Rachel a whore. So
yeah,
their friendship is not like a real thing. It's like a fake friendship. You know those.
Yeah, I think they all hate each other.
Pretty sure.
In other random, Cassie was a great guest for this week. I have danced on the Coyote Ugly Bar.
Oh my God. How was it?
Phenomenal.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, all the bouncers are so helpful and they get you up there. They like lift you.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh.
Yeah. And then you dance up there and they're like, you're ready. And then they bring you back down and it's very safe and it's very comfortable. Like I'm not much of a dance on bars kind of girl. And I was like, this I can do.
I mean, when in Rome.
yeah, it's super fun. 10 out of 10. I recommend it.
And she's a bouncer at a lesbian beer garden.
I love that. I was like, I love that for her.
And she dances in cages at a club.
Okay, but how do we find this out, Cullen?
From Tina.
How does she know this?
Tina
How
knows
does-
everything.
We get a flashback of her presumably calling Kurt and or Rachel and being like, I've got X number of words for you. Cage dancer, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Tina,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
I don't know. Honestly, if you were going to be any type of dancer, being in a cage sounds like it'd be the most fun and the safest. Maybe not the most fun.
Or the safest.
I don't know.
People
You're
can't
stuck
touch
there.
you.
People can't touch you, but you also
Yeah.
can't get out.
That's true. Yeah. So
I'm
it's like,
rethinking my statement.
But if you got in, I'm sure you can get out.
That's true. I bet it depends on like however it's set up. But
We need a cage dancer to get
Yes.
us in town.
you were
We
not
just call the
previously
cage
a
dancer
It's not.
hotline.
I've been a really good guest this week, but that I don't have the intel on.
honestly, any type of dancing it just sounds like it'd be fun. Like
Yeah.
I've always wanted to take a pole dancing class.
Same. I want to do like an aerial silks class.
Yes.
I mean, I would be
also,
terrible
yes.
at that, but
Oh,
it'd
yeah.
be
No, I'd
fun.
have a panic attack in the air. I don't think I could do
yeah,
aerial.
same.
But a pole, Alyssa, I'm with you. I can be wrapped around a pole.
There we go.
So it is. So they're basically like, you're just wasting your life dancing around. And Santana's like, what's wrong with taking some time? And they're like, "There's
Nothing. But you're doing it wrong because
Yeah.
we're telling you what you should be doing.
They're like, Niata has extension classes. And she's like, I like to dance. I don't need to go to Niata. Like, I don't need to audition for Funny Girls. Stop trying to force your creaky old-timey Broadway dreams onto my awesome dream. I'm like, well, what is your dream? And she's like, I don't know yet. And I'm like, she's supposed to be like 18, 19. It's okay to not know what you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
I'm like, Santana, I'm right there with you. I also don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm 27. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
fine.
They were super judgy. The only thing I agreed with them on was the chair.
Yeah, that chair was cringy.
I mean, she just wanted a little fixer-up project. She
Nope.
probably is super fucking lonely because they probably
Nope.
don't ever talk to her unless they're judging her. So
Then
she's
she needs
like,
to
I brought this
go
home.
to a secondhand store and buy a chair and fix it up.
Do not
Dumpster
pick
chairs
up-
are out.
Don't do it. Anything with upholstery that is on the street corner, you leave there.
Yeah,
That's
so
true,
It was
that's true.
meant for the street corner.
Yes. It's for the streets.
Yeah. It doesn't come into your home.
As Sarah would
Community.
say.
Yes.
They're gonna have bed bugs by next episode.
Oh, I cannot wait for that episode. That'd be great.
That actually would be a really funny
Are
episode.
there any songs about bugs?
The jitterbug.
Probably.
Kurt and Rachel would sing the jitterbug. It's in their
Repertoire.
wheelhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kurt
This
goes
is
back to Vogue now.
Presumably a story that's about Santana. We don't. She's gone, and then we get Kurt.
Yep.
Yep. We get Kurt. Kurt can just have everything he fucking wants. No choices made. No difficulties.
How dare he judge Santana?
Yeah. Because Santana says some of us have bills to pay, and I'm like, yeah.
Accurate point.
Yeah, Santana is living on not a bed. Do you think I don't feel like she's paying rent.
I don't
Oh, she
think
is.
No,
She,
she
that
is.
was the prerequisite for her to live there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think
She needs to get a bed then.
Yeah, she really does. There's plenty of room in that apartment. They could carve out a little bit of the living room and give her a bedroom.
Yeah, that apartment was bigger than any apartment I've ever lived in.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they could make her have a bedroom space.
But also, she's like working multiple jobs, and Kurt goes to his internship whenever he wants.
Obviously.
Yeah, like
So-
no set hours, no nothing.
Like once every 10 episodes.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Quality over quantity, which is something no one in the corporate world has ever said. That is a giant fucking lie.
Cheers.
They want both.
Yeah.
True.
So Sarah Jessica Parker is like, Kurt, I wanted to bring you into my office, and he's like, oh, I thought you were gonna fire me. And she's like, why did I do that? And he's like, so I've been coming in less since I got into Yada. And she's like, yes, we've noticed, but quality over quantity. It's like,
She
thank you.
also asked how his dad is. I was like, what's wrong with Bert?
Remember at Christmas, he had
No, he has
heart
cancer.
problems or
He has
cancer, and no one has mentioned it since.
Right?
She is actually the only like caring person in Kurt's life, and that she's the only one that seems to.
She might be the only caring person in this entire series.
I know, I was gonna say maybe like the only caring adult,
Yeah.
except for Bert.
Yeah. Bert is perfect. But yeah, I was like, when she said that, I was like, what's wrong with his dad? And then I was browsing Tumblr. I put some new posts on our Tumblr. Oh, I guess I reblogged. Gleebootpod.tumblr.com. And that was actually something someone made a gift set of, was like Kurt's dad coming and telling that he had cancer. Why there's a gift set, I don't know. That's really depressing. But I was like, oh, that's right. That's what's wrong with him. So thank God for Tumblr.
And so she's like, I actually have an assignment for you. Anna's daughter dropped out of being a celebrity wrangler at the New York Ballet Gala. And Kurt's like, oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
The social event of the season.
And so she's like, yeah, and if you have a couple of friends, bring them. This is such a fancy internship. First, she thought his dumbass sweater that he wore when he sang Pink's Perfect was good. And then that sweater is my series LVP. And,
yeah. And she basically, she doesn't ever say that's volunteer, but like she's basically getting like free help. And
Yeah.
it's like, also I feel like that's a security risk, so she probably shouldn't be doing that.
People do that all the time. For big events like that, volunteer free help, that's
yeah.
the norm.
but not like word of mouth. They probably go out and find people.
Yeah, like you do have to fill out an application and shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's not just gonna let people, her intern who shows up whenever he wants, to bring his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kurt is like, we were invited to the New York Ballet Gala, and Rachel's like, oh my gosh, yes. And Santana's like, no, thank you. I'm not into that. And they're like, oh, so you wouldn't want to don a dress from the vault, the couture vault, and help celebrities or whatever. And Santana's like, okay, fine.
I want a free dress.
Like, wasn't it like right before that they were talking about like how much they love ballet? And was it then or was it later?
Yeah, they're talking about, because then Rachel is like, oh my gosh, I used to go to my little ballet class, and she said I was a star. And then Kurt's like, I used to go to ballet and I wore a tutu and people were judging me, but I didn't care.
I learned determination. But also Rachel's like child actress in her flashback was definitely not the same girl from the other week. She had way too much emotion happening on her face.
Yeah.
And then Santana says a fantastic line. She's like, yeah, and I went to basically the school of crunk, because they just kind of assume that like she never did this. This just isn't going to be her thing ever.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like a really great line. She's like, yeah, and I went to the school of crunk or something like that.
Yeah, and they're like clapping up ballet, and she's like, and just when you thought it couldn't get any gayer, it does.
It does.
So then they're at the event. Nobody's there except for them because they did not want to hire extras. And they're like, oh, can we watch the performance from the audience? And she's like, absolutely not. You'll be watching from the wings with me. And
it's the best view.
The best seat in the house.
And Santana's like, they're like, oh, Santana doesn't want to go. She doesn't like ballet. And Santana's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, she literally, like, they are so fucking rude. They like throw her under the bus in front of this complete stranger to Santana. And Santana's like, actually, I used to do classes too. Bitch.
They were really mean. Like, they were not good friends at all.
No.
Are they ever, though?
They're supposed to be, but they're not. Like,
No. The only time Kurt was a good friend to Rachel was when he baked her cookies when she was waiting for the call for her
yes,
call
the
back.
cookies, my MVPs.
Mm-hmm. Santana starts to sing a song.
Yeah, and the four of them break out in the song.
What is this from?
I have no
line.
idea.
It's at the ballet from a chorus line.
That's probably because I've never seen it, never listened to it, never
It makes
will.
a lot more sense in the chorus line because you're learning about these characters' backstory. Santana, like Sam, apparently has an ever-changing backstory. Because last time I checked, her dad was a doctor, and him and her mom were fine.
Yeah. They worked backwards from the song. They're like, you know what? And of course, like, I don't know. Is it somewhat telling that they had the person of color singing that part of the song?
Yes.
You know? So.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very like, if the shoe fits, wear it. Like, it fits. It doesn't really match the outfit, but let's do this.
It doesn't even fit. It's just like half a size too small.
Yeah, it's two different shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I like that song in a chorus line. There's more to it. It makes sense in context of that show. I haven't listened to a chorus line in a while, so I forgot the cringe about my daddy was an Indian chief.
I fast forwarded, so I didn't hear that line.
There was a whole moment
Where of a man
Who
in a
sang that?
headdress. Sarah Jessica Parker had a fantasy that her dad was an Indian chief.
I was just so shocked by the entire moment. That
Oh,
I
wait,
didn't
there was
catch
like
any words.
A ballet number in the back, like
Yeah.
glimpses in a headdress.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that.
It was
Very PC.
Mm-hmm.
Giving me
Big
strong
yikes.
Peter Pan energy.
Yeah.
I have no words.
Yeah. I like the ballet dancers in the background, I guess.
I fast forwarded. I was like, I can't do this.
It was very strange.
It was so weird. I remember people talking about this episode when I was in college. Because this must have been on in the summer or like this early spring because I was at an orientation thing.
Yeah, this would have been your orientation summer.
Yeah, because they were talking about it with Amy Tuckfield, our mutual boss. And she was
Giacometti
like,
at the time.
And she was like, yeah, they sang that song from a chorus line, which I think was a really weird choice. And
she was right.
She was right back then. And she was right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, I fast forwarded and then I got to the part where like, okay, I saw that they started talking. Okay, I went back a little bit, caught the end of it. And then Santana was like, oh God, I'm sorry. I was just like imagining. I was like, because they were still standing in a line as if they had actually been singing that. I was like, oh, that was not a fantasy. You were actually singing that together. Weird.
Yeah, it didn't fit.
Or it was like Rachel's hallucination last week where like she was making the motions. They were all having this mass hallucination, like singing and then realizing like, oh, we're not even like singing. We're just standing here.
And she's like, I got carried away. And she's like, Santana, you're an artist. Connect with the Sarah Jessica Parker saying this, Isabel. Santana, you're an artist. You have to connect with your inner artist and keep them fed. Never forget that. Follow your dream or whatever. It's okay to not know what you want to do, but feed your inner artist. So Santana goes to the NIADA extension and is late, and she's like,
which is probably really expensive.
Yeah. And she's like, I like to make an entrance. And she's like, if you want to talk about late, what about Gramps here?
Yeah, this teacher is like no bullshit, but not like
Cassandra
Kate
July,
Hudson.
Kate Hudson. Yeah. And then
I feel like Santana's like new attitude, which I obviously don't know her for the 3 seasons past. The way she's treating this teacher is like very different than how she's been so far in this episode, where she was like this person of authority, and Jessica Parker's character was like, yeah, she was very like raw and this is me and like I'll confide in you. And then she goes to this class and she's like, I like to make a statement. I'm fashionably late. I'm better than all of you. And then
yeah,
like, what?
It's very Santana, but I wouldn't actually expect it to be like this stranger who is also like her dance teacher. Like I don't think I would expect that from Santana.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So Santana basically says something like, I'm here because I'm an artist and I'm trying to, and I love to dance. And the teacher's like, I can dig that. Because she's like, if you're so good, why do you need this class?
Yeah, like, it was like she's trying to get her inspiration back or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're dancing, and then she sees Child Santana in the dance costume, and she's like, don't forget me ever again. And Santana's like, yeah, I got you.
That was super cute, actually.
I thought it was weird.
I've been feeling like emotions in, things that I don't normally feel emotions about.
Mm-hmm.
Because
she's normally unplugged.
Yeah, my emotions are unplugged. But I almost cried. I was like, there's a baby Santana. Not a baby, but like a 6-year-old Santana.
Yeah, basically like a baby.
It was cute, but I hated that it was saying Kurt and Rachel were right and that her working in these working class professions was somehow beneath her.
I didn't. I wanted to see, I don't know, I wanted her to continue doing her working class things like she wants to do, and then also be reunited with her child self.
I think it would have been more interesting if Santana was working, but she wasn't doing any. They were like, hey, you're not doing any hobbies, you're just working, you seem tired, you seem burnt out, like you seem like you're not taking care of yourself. We're worried about you as friends, not like you're doing all these things and we're judging you.
Yeah, because she seemed fine and pretty content in her jobs. Like there wasn't anything that she's seen that she was upset about. So it was very much like they just wanted to insert their opinions.
Yeah.
It would be more interesting, I think, if she was out in New York and she was trying to make it and she didn't have time to dance, then it would make more sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Rachel does at one point say she's really talented, most talented person she knows, other than her and Kurt. And I'm like, Santana's definitely more talented than Kurt.
That's so backhanded.
Yep.
That's Rachel.
Yikes.
So those are our storylines, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all of them.
Happened. That was, what's the episode? Who cares?
Lights out.
Lights out.
Now it is just
Tina time.
I'm gonna be real honest. I legitimately thought that she had 0 lines.
She had 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
She had 2 lines.
One of them was essentially what the fuck, and then the other was she's a cage dancer. So
yeah.
That's Tina time.
It's Tina time. Tina should have been playing Flappy Bird. So All right, so let's talk about MVPs and LVPs.
Okay,
Cassie.
can I interrupt MVPs, LVPs for a segment I just created called The Tabs Open on the Guest's Computer?
Yes.
It is Who is Tina from Glee? Gleeboot podcast Tumblr. Who is Bert from Glee? Good songs about bugs. Who is Unique from Glee? Who is Jared on Glee? Kristen Chenoweth Glee. Who is Marley?
Who
Four
is she?
picks, one word. What song does Coach Sue sing in Glee season 4 Lights Out? Baby, who is Baby Robin? Who is Brittany? Who is Sam? Who is Jake? Who is Tina?
Twice.
Just Alex Newell. Nightwing Glee. Santana Glee. Glee Ryder.
Oh
Spelled
my God.
wrong. Figgins Glee. Becky Glee. And Cullen's Facebook, so I can find his friends, so that I can see who the other hosts were. That is all my tabs.
I loved
Thank
that
you.
segment.
That is
My
my new
face
favorite.
hurts. Oh my God.
It's so funny. Like, it just boils down to who the fuck are all these characters?
Like every time you guys brought up a character, I was like, who the hell that?
I love that, like, that's what you chose to do instead of just like asking. I love that you did the research. You're like, no, I'm gonna play this cool. I know who everyone is.
Oh yeah, I was like, they'll never know that I'm doing this, and I was like, oh my God, I have to tell them. There's so many tabs, like you can't read the tabs anymore from the top. It's just Google, because I've Googled everything you've talked about.
Oh, your Google algorithm is so fucked.
I'm so screwed. My TikTok's gonna get weird.
Your Google search history is gonna try to be like, hey, do you want these 7 million quizzes from BuzzFeed about who you are in Glee?
Do you want to hear another cover of another song by Glee?
Yeah, your YouTube algorithm too. That's fucked too. It's all Glee now.
Do you
I
want
can't
songs
wait.
about bugs?
About bugs. Oh, okay.
Amazing.
Now I'm
My
ready to
favorite was-
participate.
Who is Tina was on there twice.
Yeah,
I mean, that
didn't
sums up Tina's
know.
existence.
Yep.
And like now, as we're chatting, I'm like, wait, who's Tina? I gotta go back to my tabs.
And then there's so many tabs. You're like, I don't know which one it is. I'm going to open another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, now I'm ready for. Is it MVP, LVP?
So just your LVP, and we'll go around,
Okay.
then we'll do MVPs.
So my LVP is. I think I have to consult a tab. Oh, is his name Artie?
The guy in the wheelchair?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
He's my LVP for 2 reasons. Because during the first acoustic cover, he was on his phone the whole time, which just really annoyed me. While I was watching it was my first text to myself, which was, why is he on his phone? And then also because of the misogynistic comments after Sam had revealed about his sexual assault experience, and then Artie
Ryder,
and
yeah.
Ryder were just going back and forth about how, like, you got game, like, we're so happy for you. I was like, don't like this fella. Not my jam. He's my LVP.
I want to give an honorable mention to Mr. Shu for not handling that situation properly. But I feel like every time something like this happens and he doesn't do what he's supposed to do as a would be a responsible adult in a classroom, I'm not going to give him the full LVP, because that's going to go to, I think, Roz Washington. She was incredibly mean to Becky. And like, I feel like the stuff with like her calling her like adult baby Robin was just really uncalled for and nasty. Yeah. Also, Artie sucks.
Yeah.
Thank you
There's
for
so
agreeing with
many-
me.
So many characters to choose from this episode.
Oh, I know.
LVP.
Everyone was awful.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, LVP, I have so many to choose from. MVP,
I could
I have
literally
no idea.
choose. I could choose any person for any number of reasons. I
Pretty
think
much.
I'm gonna do the opposite. Not the opposite. The like other half of the duo. So I'm choosing Sam.
Whoa. Is
Yeah,
this the
I
first
know.
time for you?
I think it's not. I think it's the second time I've chosen Sam.
Okay.
Yeah, just his participation in like congratulating Ryder on his sexual assault was incredibly terrible. It was just so bad, and it my opinion of him plummeted this episode, which is it's almost worse because he was so high in my like mind
Esteem.
pedestal.
He's
Yeah.
your Glee boyfriend.
Yes,
Golden
he
Retriever
became a
boy.
golden retriever boy, and he just was like not being a good boy.
Bad
Yeah.
boy. Gonna rub his nose in his mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with Sam too. We all know Cord Overstreet is my celebrity crush, but I was very disappointed in him. And he was kind of leading it when he was listening to all those 80s movies. And I wanted someone to be like, Sam, maybe the media you're consuming
Is bad.
is bad. Though shout out to Kurt and Rachel for being so snotty.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck them too.
And yeah, that's what I'm going with. So Cassie, who's your MVP?
I think it's Katie.
The
Because
catfish?
the catfish, because of the super fun anonymity. And also, like, she's not doing anything wrong in the whole dynamic between Kitty and Sam?
Ryder.
Ryder?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
she's
other
not doing
basic
anything
white
wrong.
boy.
Like, he made the choice to not go out with her. She's just like perfect and innocent, and I'm obsessed with her. And
Except
then
for being a catfish.
Yeah, well, we're all catfishes. I googled who it is.
Don't say it.
Oh, I'm not gonna, but wow. Can I say that it was one of my tabs? Like after I googled it, 'cause I think I might have closed out of that tab, or it's on my incognito browser. But then after I found out who it is, I was like, oh my god, that was one of my tabs. But there's 85 tabs, so no, that doesn't spoil anything. So
It's Tina
Katie.
Cohen Chang twice.
Yeah, I mean, I did also just love, who's Darren Chris's character, my boyfriend?
Blaine.
Blaine.
Blaine. I love him. I love that his existence in the workout scene.
Yeah, that was great.
With all those hips. I loved him in the Queen song, just sweeping like he wants to sweep all day. So that's probably my two, if I'm picking two.
I don't know. Everyone was kind of awful. Actually, I think I might go with SJP with Isabel. She was really nice to Santana. She was like a good breath of fresh air for Santana in terms of like just this complete stranger, and just is like, you know what, follow your dreams, like you've got plenty of time. Like she's very caring and nice about it. She's just like a very warm person. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Isabel for helping Santana out a little bit.
Though she does have this line where she's like, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Every girl, no matter where they end up,
Wants
dreams
to
of
be
being a ballerina.
Yeah, you know what, she's getting a couple points docked off for that, but overall in the grand scheme of this episode,
MVP.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to be MVP in this episode because there's so many people that just have brought themselves down.
Yeah.
True. There's only like, I don't know, tops 3 or 4 choices. And with the number of storylines and actual characters that exist in this episode, that's not a lot of choices.
No.
I'm gonna go with Santana because I really liked the way she stood up for herself when she was talking to Sarah Jessica Parker's character, whose name I can never remember because you guys never say it. You always say Sarah Jessica Parker.
I know. I was like, wow, she knows the actor's name, but then that's a good point. I always call her SJP.
Yeah. So when she told off Rachel and Kurt, that was my favorite moment. So that's why she's getting it from me. And also her like reconnecting with her child self, because it was kind of fun-ish, I guess. I don't know, it wasn't fun. It was tender. It was a tender moment.
I do have a shout out to Blaine for being very hot in that workout scene.
Oh yes.
Teeny
tiny little shorts.
Oh
but,
yeah.
But this may come as a surprise to many. I've called this person a terrorist, a threat to our nation's security,
It's finally
threat
happened.
to my security. It's Kitty.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Gleeboot history. I have hated Kitty since day one, but I saw a really human side to her. She didn't have to reach out and help Ryder in that way and be like, hey, you're not alone. But she chose to. She chose to open up. And she was only like, the only thing she was seeking from it was personal connection. You know, she was just looking for like friendship, maybe something more, but just a connection. And I thought she had a very valid point of like, you're standing me up for someone who's catfishing you, you know? And when she was like, no, I'm not going to wait for you. Like, no, thank you. Like, you're rejecting me, you know, like I felt that. I felt for her. So Kitty.
Wow. Mark this in the books. This is history. November 21st, 2021.
So song time.
Music.
Song time. Okay, so for songs we have
dud number 1, dud number 2.
We have You've Lost That Loving Feeling, Everybody Hurts, We Will Rock You, Little Girls, At the Ballet, and Longest Time. Oh boy, do I not know what I liked, because this was rough.
Can we start with MVP or LVP?
What?
What was the longest time?
That was the acapella at the end.
Oh. What was the first one?
The first one was You've Lost That Loving Feeling.
That Sam sang on his guitar.
Oh, okay.
He was conceived to the song, apparently.
Yikes.
Information nobody needs to know.
Favorite?
We do least favorite first.
Okay, I have my favorite. I don't have my least favorite. I think my least favorite is probably Queen, We Will Rock You, because what Hannah and I have emphasized way too much is that it came right after the very vulnerable scene in our memory, and it was Aka. Yeah.
Yeah. The context, I love the song, but you can't like a song when you're still just reeling from that and then just like wham.
Trying to recover from the smiley face spaghetti mutual conversation about sexual assault.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah. And like that's not like a song you could just easily go into after that, you know?
Right. And it's also like the most boring of like not
songs.
using instrumental songs.
Oh,
like it's the most obvious.
And it's not even that great. Like with the brooms and the buckets, like you could have chosen another song that would have utilized those quote unquote instruments.
Yeah.
In
running over water bottles with wheelchairs. We could have done this another way.
My first instinct was they could have done King of Anything by Sarah Bareilles. Don't know why that song came into my head. Or Trash in
That
the
could be kind of
camp.
fun. From Tarzan.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what it is. Absolutely.
I love
Well,
that.
they can now. 'cause
They
it's
can in the Gleeboot.
It's Disney's
It's Glee.
Glee.
Glee's Disney. Ryan Murphy owns Disney.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. I would say there would be better gay representation, but
It'd be gay representation. Would it be better?
no. Anyway, I guess God. I think the song I'm gonna go for worst is gonna be the ballet one. I could not stand it. I fast forward right through it. I could not do it.
Which one again?
At the ballet.
Oh yeah. Yikes. I don't have a comment. but everyone else is silent. It's
I'm still
uncomfortable.
thinking. I'm trying to. Can you list them off again?
Because it's
so
like
bad.
they're just all kind of bleh.
You've
Yeah.
lost that love and feeling. Everybody hurts. We will rock you. Little girls. At the ballet. Longest time.
Little girls.
have-
I hated Little Girls.
Yeah,
Fair.
that was my second.
I'm
It
so
was-
excited for my favorite song though. Sorry to interrupt, Alyssa. I'm
No.
so excited to share my favorite song. Oh, I'm bursting. Okay.
Hold it in.
This is so hard. I think my least favorite was At the Ballet because it was just such a weird fit. It was like a toddler with one of those shape toys where you have to like put it in the right.
Yeah, they're
shape.
putting the triangle into the circle.
Yeah.
And
At
they're
least
just
the little
shoving
girl
it
song. The little girl song was very obviously in her head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the ballet song, like we still
We'll never
don't
know. Yeah.
It will haunt me forever.
So Cassie, the moment of truth. What is your favorite song?
Uncredited, according to my Google searches, Star Spangled Banner by The Competition.
Oh my god, we forgot about that. Normally we put those in.
Absolutely my
Oh,
favorite.
I
She
forgot
filled the
about that.
stadium.
She did. Oh my gosh.
My fave.
Honorable mention for that because it did sound pretty good. She sounded great.
She
Yeah.
reminded me of Sunshine. Like that's
Yeah,
that
I thought it was
like
Sunshine.
I know. I
they did the
definitely was like, is
profile.
that the same person?
Now I have to open another tab.
Sunshine Corazon. Look her up. There's a really great short that if you can find on YouTube. It's a clip from the second season. Rachel sends that character to a non-active crack house to get her to not audition. It's a long story, but it might be worth it for the joke. My favorite, honestly, the only reason I'm picking it is because I like Billy Joel, and it was a fine cover. It was just okay. I'm going with For the Longest Time.
Was that the acapella cover at the end?
Yeah. It sounds pretty much just like the original, and I'm like, it's fine.
I'm also going to choose that one because I enjoyed the fact that it was a cappella and I was singing the harmonies.
Yeah, they don't really do acapella like ever anymore.
No, they don't. That's usually a warbler thing.
Yeah. God, R.I.P. the Warblers. Don't know if we'll ever see them again.
Oh, we will.
Great.
I'm going with Call on Me from the workout sequence.
Fair.
Amazing.
Best dancing, most interesting choreography, Blaine in short shorts.
Most
Winning.
horrifically embedded into our minds.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh boy.
That's
But-
so good.
Yeah. So Cassie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. This was so fun. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy.
Do you have any social medias you'd like to plug?
Literally none. They're all private.
That's totally valid. You can follow Gleeboot on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at GleebootPod. And then we're also on Tumblr, gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at yourboyryan99 and on YouTube at yourboyryan.
And you can follow me on Instagram at a.m.swearingen. Hannah's doing the YMCA over here.
I am now.
All right. Well, next week we are having guests from the 90210 podcast, The Blaze,
Woo!
to talk about the Stevie Wonder tribute episode.
Okay.
Okay.
Will it be more filler? I don't know.
Yes.
I'm gonna say probably.
We're just filling time until regionals. By now, they were already at like nationals last season.
Oh my God, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're still gonna be in. Wait, hold on. Are they? Wait, are they not gonna go to nationals this year then?
I don't want to spoil anything.
I'm so confused about time.
It's only gonna get worse. I will spoil
Oh
it for you.
no.
Okay, well.
Well,
Wait, are they gonna make literally like April and May like a whole season?
What if they do
Next
regionals and
season?
nationals in the same episode?
What?
I would love that. It would just be music. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. No one talk.
All right.
Oh,
Well, oh boy. So Cassie, thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad you had a
Thank you
good
for having
time.
me. So much fun.
Honestly, surprise, amazing information about your personal life that was just so perfect for the episode. I mean,
Snuck right
could
in
not
there.
have picked a better guest.
Thank you.
So tune in next week, guys. Bye.
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 Bye.